So many people are confused about whether the real Wing Chun knives are choppers or stabbers. So in this video, I'm going to discuss what little history we do know, as well as the pros and cons of both. So let's talk some Wing Chun knives.
And every day, I practice martial arts. Word is I'm a kung fu genius.
Hi, this is the Kung Fu Genius, aka Alex Richter, and if this is your first time to the Kung Fu Genius channel, I thank you so much for stopping by. I'm a full-time Wing Chun instructor and martial arts fanatic based out of New York City, and this channel is all about exploring Wing Chun, Chinese culture and history, and helping you unleash your inner Kung Fu genius. And like I said, today we're going to discuss the Wing Chun knives. For most Wing Chun practitioners, the name Baat Jaam Dou means 8 slashing knives, with the 8 usually referring to the fact that the techniques are broken down into 8 sections or 8 themes, generally for fighting different types of weapons. The term Jaam means to slash or to cleave and not to stab, which we'll get into a bit later. The term Dou means knife or sword in Chinese, and that's why there's sometimes confusion when some people call them knives and other people call them swords. They're technically both correct. The Chinese word Dou means any broad-shaped blade, usually sharpened on one side, which can include a long broadsword, Wing Chun knives, or even a simple butter knife could be called Dou in Cantonese. This should not be confused with the term Gim, which is used only for those thin, straight swords, usually sharpened on both sides, such as those used by Tai Chi exponents and others as well. Now, it's noteworthy that this particular name, Baat Jaam Dou, doesn't exist outside of the Yip Man lineage, at least to my knowledge, and other branches of Wing Chun sometimes use a more generic name for their knives, such as Seung Dou or simply double knives. In the Yip Man lineage, the knives should not be called butterfly knives or butterfly swords. That term is Wu Dip Dou in Cantonese and refers to double knives with a slightly different design than in Wing Chun. And it may also refer to a specific form with the knives used by other systems. As a matter of fact, the type of knife we use in Wing Chun is generically called Baat Jaam Dou, which roughly translated means the knife that goes to your elbow. Shout out to Maxifu for that knowledge. That's the type of knife, not the name of the technique. So please stop calling Wing Chun weapons butterfly swords, or even worse, Baat Jaam Dou. From a straight historical perspective, it would seem that stabbers were the predominant version of double knives in southern China, as well as those used by Chinese gangs. There's a great article online by Ben Judkins which goes into the history of these weapons in China. A link for that is available in the description below. In more recent history, triads and gangs generally use pointier swords, as you can see in this photo. The police in New York arrested a number of Chinese Tong members and confiscated these blades, among other weapons, in the 1920s. Here you see slightly triangular-shaped stabbers. Eddie Gong, a Tong leader, can be seen here holding broader blades, or choppers, around the 1930s. So again, not entirely conclusive whether one was preferred over the other. What is clear is that a number of different designs existed, from triangular-shaped blades to choppers to very long stabbers. Which ones that were Wing Chun predecessors used is not entirely clear to me. So let's discuss pros and cons. Stabbers. Pros: good for stabbing, generally lighter. Cons: not optimized for chopping, they lack heft. Choppers. Pros: good for chopping and cleaving, more heft. Cons: not optimized for stabbing, heavy. As you can see, this overly simplified comparison makes it clear that both designs lack what the other one has. Of course, there are also hybrid knife versions available online now, and I leave these out of the discussion, as most people in Chinese Kung Fu tend to be team chopper or team stabber, and historically, these new school hybrid designs didn't exist, so they're not really a classic part of the conversation. Now, heft and weight is a consideration, but it's not the end-all and be-all of weapon choice. Of course, there are plenty of bros out there who love to show how heavy the weapons they use are, not just in the knife, but in the pole as well. Tell them use a 9-foot-long pole, they tell you theirs is 11 and made out of pure titanium. While using a heavier weapon for training is good for strength, using a heavy weapon for sustained fighting in battle is not the best tactic. Many years ago, I went to the Museum of Natural History with Sifu Leung Ting when they had a display of historical Chinese weapons. They had a guando on display, which was not as large as the ones used by many modern Kung Fu practitioners. When I mentioned this to Sifu Leung Ting, he told me, of course it's not huge. You can't wield a heavy weapon on the battlefield for too long. He then went on about the idiocy of Kung Fu bros who brag about how big the weapons they use are, confusing strength training or progressive overload with the actual choice of a weapon for fighting. And I'm sure they're not compensating for anything. So if the knife techniques you practice in your lineage promote more stabbing movements or quick combinations, then perhaps stabbers are the right ones for you. If your knife techniques are based more on slashing and cleaving, then perhaps choppers are for you. But ultimately, I'm sure none of you are really going out there and having armed death matches between you and other Kung Fu practitioners who might be wielding broadswords or cudgels. So it's really just preference. Use the type of knife your Sifu teaches you with, or ultimately use the one that feels best in your hand, the one that you personally like the most. Don't worry if the talking heads tell you that you're wrong. They're just pushing a narrative based on confirmation bias. So if we compare the knife forms of notable lines within the Yip Man lineage, we generally see more slashing and cleaving movements, hence the term jam in Baat Jaam Dou. There are some stabbing techniques in many of the Yip Man lineage forms, but these would be low percentage compared to the cutting and chopping movements. Despite the abundance of slashing movements in most of the forms, some practitioners prefer stabbing-oriented blades. While the late Sifu Moyat promoted the use of triangular-shaped blade and Sifu Leung uses a uniquely shaped stabber, Grandmaster Yip Man posed with choppers. I generally like choppers, but I can't make up my mind, so I practice with both. The way I practice the techniques change depending on which type of knife I use, so I think it's actually a good idea to practice with both types. So what kind of knives are your favorite? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Definitely subscribe to this channel and hit that bell for notifications for more videos like this. And if you're interested in personal online Wing Chun training with me, I have limited spots open, and you can find out more about that in the link in the YouTube card as well as in the description below. And if you have any ideas on future video topics you would like me to discuss, please go ahead and comment below and let me know what that is. Well, until next time, don't forget to train hard so you can unleash your own Kung Fu genius.